It's Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Welcome to your news update on Blip Brief, small but almost everything updated every weekday. All right, let's dive into the Indian markets yesterday. Seemed like a day of holding pattern, maybe. Cautious optimism.
Yeah, I'd say holding pattern fits. The Nifty 50 edged up just 0.1%, and the Sensex may be a fraction more, 0.2%.
So not exactly setting the world on fire.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
It was really all about positioning ahead of the Q2 earnings season. We saw some pre-quarterly updates, and those are sort of setting the stage. Analysts are expecting, market consolidation for now.
But the outlook is okay, because I heard whispers about double-digit profit growth for Nifty companies.
That's the projection, yes. For the fourth straight quarter, actually. Mostly fueled by autos and metals, it seems.
No.
But yesterday's tiny rise, purely technical anticipation, I think.
Got it.
Yeah.
But even on a quiet day, some sectors were making noise. Real estate and infrastructure definitely stood out.
Oh, absolutely. Both the BSE and Nifty Realty indices climbed, 1.1% each? Pretty robust.
Yeah, that suggests some serious confidence in that space, doesn't it? Like actual building and activity picking up.
It does. And that tends to spill over, right? The Nifty Industrial Digital Index was also strong, up 0.9%.
Okay, and who are the big individual winners in the large cap space?
Bharti Airtel and HCL Tech led the pack there, both up 1.4%.
Interesting. So continued faith in digital transformation, connectivity spending, that story isn't fading.
Doesn't seem like it, but, for every winner.
There's a loser.
Right.
Who took the hits?
Axis Bank was down quite a bit, 2.1%. And Tata Motors also slipped by 2.0%.
Huh. So why the cold shoulder for a major bank and a top automaker, especially when autos are supposedly driving profit growth?
Well, could be sector-specific concerns, maybe some profit-taking in banking after a good run, or perhaps jitters about lending growth.
And Tata Motors, despite the broader auto sector strength.
Investors are super sensitive there. Any hint of slowing sales volumes or rising input costs, it can trigger selling. It looks like targeted anxiety, not like a broad market sell-off.
That selectivity really shows up in the IPO market too, doesn't it? We had those two big ones, LG Electronics India and Tata Capital.
Oh yeah, night and day, almost.
How so?
Well, LG Electronics India saw huge demand. It was oversubscribed, 105% overall. And the key thing, its gray market premium, the GMP, it spiked by 29%. That signals massive buzz, expectation of a big listing gain.
Okay, 29% GMP. Wow. Now contrast that with Tata Capital.
Right. So Tata Capital subscribed 75% on day 2, which is decent, not bad.
But the GMP?
Much, much softer. Only a 1.5% premium.
That's a massive difference. What's that telling us about how investors are thinking?
It says the market's being very discerning. There's money available, investors willing to put it to work, but they're really scrutinizing the price tag.
So a 29% GMP means this is priced too low or growth is guaranteed, while 1.5% means, hey, maybe it's fairly priced.
Pretty much, or even slightly ambitiously priced. They're cautious, especially with big names that don't scream immediate high growth.
And regulators are probably encouraging that caution, right? With exchanges cracking down.
Exactly. They're watching brokers cross-selling financial products more closely, and also looking at these dark patterns on trading apps.
Dark patterns? You mean like deceptive design tricks?
Yeah, things designed to nudge users into making certain choices, often ones that aren't in their best interest. It's about protecting retail investors, especially with mobile trading being so easy now.
Makes sense. Okay, let's zoom out to the macro picture. That Apple iPhone export story is just, wow.
It really is something. Record $10 billion in iPhone exports from India in the first half of this fiscal year.
And the growth rate?
A stunning 75% increase compared to the same period last year. And just look at September shipments jumped 155%.
That's incredible acceleration. It feels like a fundamental shift, doesn't it? India moving up the value chain in electronics manufacturing.
Absolutely. It's not just China plus one anymore. This suggests India is becoming a primary hub. Deep integration into that global tech supply chain.
And that kind of manufacturing needs top-tier digital infrastructure, which leads us to Google's big announcement.
Right. A $10 billion investment plan. They're building their first data center cluster in India.
Where's that going to be?
Visakhapatnam, apparently. Slated to be operational by 2028.
$10 billion. That's a serious commitment.
It is. Data centers are the bedrock, right? For the speed, the capacity needed for this huge digital economy, manufacturing, logistics, payments, AI, everything. It's a response to the demand from companies like Apple.
And where there's investment, there's demand for talent. So salary hikes.
Yep, a new survey projects an overall hike of 9% for 2026 in India.
But just like the stock market, some sectors are pulling ahead.
Definitely. Real estate and infrastructure again, and also non-banking financial companies, the NBSCs,
Yeah.
both expected to see raises around 10% or even higher.
Why those specifically?
Well, infrastructure needs skilled project managers, engineers, and NBFCs are snapping up tech and risk talent like crazy to handle the boom in digital lending and payments. Think UPI.
Speaking of digital money, how's the RBI playing the whole central bank digital currency or CBDC game?
Cautiously, very cautiously. The deputy governor basically said, no hurry on a nationwide rollout.
Is that wise? Or are they falling behind?
I think it's strategic. They're focused on getting the use cases right first, especially for cross-border payments where a CBDC could really make a difference.
Right. Reduce friction, lower costs.
Exactly. Rushing it out nationwide without proof it works perfectly at scale. That would be risky. They want utility over just speed.
And they are taking steps, right? Didn't a new pilot start today?
Yes, October 8th, a pilot on deposit tokenization using the wholesale CBDC segment.
Deposit tokenization. What does that help with?
It could potentially transform how banks settle transactions between themselves or how corporations manage funds, locking specific digital deposits for specific uses. It shows they're serious about the underlying tech, not just issuing digital rupees.
And meanwhile, the existing digital payment system, UPI, keeps expanding.
Yeah, it just officially launched in Qatar. That's huge for remittances for the Indian community there. Plus, biometric authentication for UPI is starting to roll out in India now, too. More security, better access.
Okay, shifting globally. Geopolitics seems to be driving commodities. Gold's still rallying.
It is.
Yeah.
Up slightly, again, another 0.1%. And it's getting really close to that $4,000 an ounce mark. First time ever.
And that's being fueled by...
Political turbulence, mostly. The situation in France is still messy, and of course, the ongoing U.S. government shutdown is creating a lot of uncertainty.
So, flight to safety continues.
Classic gold behavior. When major economies look unstable, investors want hard assets.
But oil prices are more stable.
Yeah, pretty much flat. Brent was down just 0.14%, WTI lost 0.16%. Very small moves.
Why the stability there?
OPEC plus OTE. They announced an output hike, but it was smaller than some expected. The market read that as enough to keep things calm, but not so much that it would crash prices. A balancing act.
Interesting. What about global trade overall? I saw the WTO had a new forecast out.
They did, and it's a bit Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, how so?
They actually revised their forecast for world trade growth in 2025, upwards slightly, to 2.4%. So near-term momentum looks okay.
Okay, that's the good news. What's the bad news?
The bad news is 2026, they slashed the forecast for that year dramatically, down to just 0.5% growth, minimal.
Wow, from 2.4% down to 0.5%. That's a huge cut. What's the reason?
They're blaming the delayed impact of U.S. tariffs, basically saying the full negative effects will really bite global trade flows by 2026.
So tariffs have a long fuse, essentially.
It seems so. Companies adjust, use inventory, find workarounds initially. But the cumulative drag from disrupted supply chains, new sourcing, plus the tariffs themselves, the WTO thinks it will eventually stifle growth significantly, a slow burn.
Meanwhile, the immediate pain from the U.S. shutdown is very visible. Flight delays.
Over 3,000 flights delayed, apparently due to air traffic controller shortages. That hits commerce, travel, everything.
And the human cost for the workers.
Yeah, the White House even suggested furloughed federal workers might not get back pay this time. That turns it from a political standoff into a real financial crisis for many families.
Grim stuff. Okay, final points on geopolitics. The UK Prime Minister is in India today.
He is. But he made a point of saying beforehand that the visit will not mean more immigration or visas for India.
Setting a firm line right from the start. Tough for trade talks.
It sets a political tone, for sure. But India's commerce minister still sounds confident about getting deals done elsewhere, aiming for a U.S. agreement by November and an EU one by year-end.
So maybe India feels it has more leverage with the U.S. and EU than the UK on things like mobility of professionals?
Could be. The UK has different domestic political pressures around immigration. And looking north, keep an eye on Arctic cooperation.
With Russia?
Yes, it's expected to be a priority when President Putin visits India in December. Focus on connectivity, resources. India's diversifying its strategic partnerships.
Okay, let's wrap with the innovation beat. This sounds fun. A rainbow chip.
Huh? Yeah, from Columbia University researchers. And apparently, they created it by accident.
The best kind of discovery. So what is this tiny chip?
Basically, it takes a single laser beam, just one color of light, and converts it into what's called a frequency comb.
A frequency comb? Sounds technical. Break it down for us.
Think of it like a prism. but much more sophisticated. It generates dozens of perfectly spaced, separate, powerful beams of light, or channels, all from that one initial beam.
Okay, dozens of channels from one beam. Why is that revolutionary?
Speed and capacity. Imagine our current fiber optic cables are like single-lane highways. This rainbow chip acts like a perfect traffic splitter right at the entrance.
Turning one lane into many lanes.
Exactly. Potentially dozens or even hundreds of parallel lanes, all running at full speed using the existing highway. It means we could dramatically increase the amount of data flying through the internet backbone.
Without laying new fiber optic cables everywhere.
That's the key. It could supercharge internet speeds and capacity using the infrastructure we already have. A really smart, simple innovation with potentially massive impact.
Fantastic. A hopeful note to end on. And just before you go, a quick note. This deep dive commentary was put together using advanced AI. We always strive for accuracy, but please do cross-verify any crucial information yourself. Your informed decisions are what matter most.